to be here, and I want to thank you for being here, and I want to thank you for joining the discussion on how Sally Beauty leveraged Tinyclues machine learning to scale a customer-centric marketing strategy and deliver on business goals. I need this in order to survive today. My name is Ashley Lively, as you know, and I'm a Senior Customer Success Manager at Tinyclues, and I'm dedicated to providing support for the Sally Beauty team. I will be joined by Gabriel Trujillo, and he is the VP of Customer Marketing at Sally Beauty. He and his team oversee CRM, loyalty, customer analytics, and consumer research. I need all my hands to name those out. And they work for Sally Beauty, and if those of you in this room, I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with the company Sally Beauty, but in case you're not, Sally Beauty offers hair care and color products to business professionals, but also to end users. And they do that in the US, in Canada, also in several European and Latin American countries. And like Craig mentioned, Gabriel's unable to join us today at the event, but we do have a recording of him sharing his story so he can share it directly with you today. So he'll be joining us virtually. A virtual Gabriel will join us later on today. Before we started, Gabriel and I really wanted to share some context about Sally Beauty so that we're all on the same page. And I think, like most organizations, Sally Beauty operates a multi-channel strategy. Nothing new. I think most organizations in this room today, same thing. And they do that so that they can meet consumers where they're engaging with the brand, so that they can deliver a relevant experience and deliver the best solutions in hair, care, and color needs. And I think, like most organizations and like most CRM teams, every CRM team that I've ever talked to anyway, Gabriel and his team are constantly trying to find ways to improve their CRM strategy. Yes, maybe some head nods if that feels relevant to you, and if you're in CRM. No head nods. Okay, that's okay. I see them a lot. And the thing is that they had a hunch. They had a hunch that AI could help them deliver on the goal of improving their CRM strategy. And they wanted to test the hunch, and so that they needed to find a channel that had enough volume, number one, enough frequency, enough campaigns in order to deliver significant results when testing. And so the email channel, like a lot of places, the email channel was the best place to test this hunch out. And so today's discussion is going to be about how they've tested AI and they scaled it in the email channel, but it's important to note that machine learning can be applied to any customer marketing channel. And so Gabriel and I want to share with you today why we believe that machine learning is a must for CRM teams. And maybe that's a little bit too aggressive of a statement for our first in-person event, so I'll soften it up. Why Gabriel and I believe that machine learning is something that CRM teams simply should consider, if you haven't already. And we're going to share why. In 2020, Tinyclues conducted a State of CRM report. And for the report, we interviewed CRM professionals from all over the world. And we asked them a question. We said, what's the number one priority for you in 2021? The overwhelming response that we got, and it was basically saying exactly what you see on the screen with maybe a few variances in wording, is to be more customer-centric. The number one goal is to be more customer-centric. Raise your hand if this feels relevant. This is a relevant statement to you and your teams today. Yeah, okay, a few hands. Yeah, I'm making some progress here. What does it mean to be customer-centric? I am pretty sure I don't need to tell any of you what customer centricity is. And so I don't want to tell you what it is. I don't want to talk about what it is. I want to talk about why the definition of customer centricity is important. If, let's just simply say that customer centricity is keeping the customer at the center of all of our decisions, yeah, okay, I have a head nod, thank you. And if that's the goal, why do we want to keep the customer at the center of all of our decisions? The reason is because if we keep the customer at every decision that leads up to the customer's experience with our brand, then technically the customer's experience with the brand should feel relevant. So why is it that we have more data than we've ever had? We have more ways to organize that data, we have more ways to access that data than we've ever had. And we also have more tools and more resources to personalize, to deliver personalized experience to customers. And yet we as CRM professionals, and I say we because I'm including myself, we still feel like we have room to improve in terms of how we deliver a customer-centric strategy, how we deliver on customer centricity. We feel like we need to be more customer-centric. But it's not just the CRM professionals that feel like they need to be more customer-centric. Consumers are also saying the same thing. A Forrester research and thought leadership paper said that 70% of the consumers that they interviewed or surveyed, 70% of them said that they felt like the offers they received weren't relevant. 70% of consumers feel like the offers they receive aren't relevant. Why is that? I'm not leading you down a rabbit hole, but I'm gonna ask you some questions. Hope you'll raise your hands. How many of us are in CRM? This should be really easy, yeah. I mean, okay, it's a CRM conference. We're in CRM, so these fields that are populating, they feel relevant, yeah? Raise your hand if you're working towards being more customer-centric. Yes, some of us raised our hands earlier, yeah. Okay, a lot of the people who raised their hands before are also working on being more customer-centric. So these fields look familiar to you as a CRM professional and someone who's working to be more customer-centric. Okay, now take your CRM professional hats off and you're gonna put your consumer hat on. How many of you have made an online purchase in the last year? Come on, everyone, even the audio team up here should raise their hand for this. I need to raise every limb, finger, and toe to represent myself for this question because I lived in online purchases in the last year. And I have given all of this data that you've seen like multiple times to every single brand that I've been buying with. So these fields as a consumer also feel really familiar because I've given them so many times. And so we have a lot of data, we have a lot of information, and as consumers, we've given a lot of information. Think about your experience with the brands that you've purchased from. What does your inbox look like? I cannot speak for everyone in this room, but I can speak for myself. My promotions inbox, for my personal inbox, is jam-packed every day, and unfortunately, not all the messages are relevant. Now, I say we, so as we as a collective whole of CRM professionals in CRM, my role is supporting CRM teams build CRM strategies. Prior to this role, I was a CRM manager, and before that, I opened a fitness business, fitness studio, and if anyone has been to a gym, you know that, what is it? Memberships, customer memberships are the #1 priority. And so I say we because I'm in CRM with you, I'm right here with you. It's not because we are not trying. Consumers don't feel that their offers are not relevant because we are not trying. We're trying. So what gives? Some of us in this room might say, but I already am customer-centric. I have email opt-in preferences, I have an opt-in preference center. And maybe, yes, that is improving the experience your customers have, for sure. But is it delivering an experience based on all of the data that you have, all the fields of information that you have? And on top of that, is it delivering on business goals? I want you to think about all of the data that your organization has on all of your customers. All of the data, it's a lot. If I know the answer to that question, it's a lot of data. And even as a fitness business, I didn't have millions of customers, but I had thousands of customers, and that was a lot of data to deal with. Now I want you to think about all the data that you have and all of the data that you cannot use. The data that you cannot use on a day-to-day basis. And notice that I'm saying you cannot use it. I'm not saying that you won't use it or that you don't want to use it. I'm saying that you can't use it because you meet some limitations, and like limitations that are simple, like you don't have the resources, like the right tools, or maybe you don't have the right people to use all the data. Maybe you don't have enough people. You don't have the bandwidth to deal with all the data, to mine it, to figure out how to make use of it and produce actionable insights. And maybe you just don't see how some of the fields of information you have are even relevant to improving your customer's experience. Fair enough. But what if you do have enough data? What if you do have data that can improve the experience? It's just a matter of figuring out how to leverage it. So why are we in this situation where we have all this data that we can't make use of, but could help us? And the answer is kind of simple. It's because humans are complex. You're complex. I see you nodding, so I'm going to tell you, you're special, you're complex. I'm complex. We are complex beings. We're all complex beings. Humans are complex. This is why it's hard. This is why we meet limitations in trying to meet the customers, while we meet limitations in trying to improve our customer-centric strategy, because humans, our consumers, their behaviors are complex. And so we have to match that complexity with something that works. So I want to give you an example. When I had my fitness business, I started with one client. Her name was Katie, and you better believe that Katie and I became best friends. My goal was to deliver the best experience I could to Katie. And so if you have one client, what do? You foster a relationship with that customer, yeah? And how do you foster relationships? Like if you have a friend, what do? You reach out to them, you talk to them. Maybe that friend provides you some feedback. Katie told me that my pricing structure was out of whack, and I fixed it. And you know what? Katie stayed with me for a long time because I took her feedback, even though it was kind of hurtful at the time. I worked really hard on that. And I said, thanks for that feedback. I'm gonna take it and I'm going to adjust. I'm gonna alter what I'm doing. I'm going to evolve my strategy. And I'm gonna deliver it back to you so your experience is a little bit more relevant. It feels a little bit more personal and you feel valued. When you have one Katie, it's easy to do that. And I said I had thousands of customers. It became kind of tedious to do that, but I'm not talking to people who have thousands of customers to deal with. I'm talking to people who have millions of customers to deal with. Tens of millions. Some of you have hundreds of millions. So how do you foster a relationship where you're talking to someone, asking them questions, getting feedback from them at a scale of 1 million customers? It's pretty hard. And this is where machine learning comes in. This is why Gabriel and I say that you should consider it if you haven't already, because we need help. Before I do say anything else about machine learning, I do want to preface that I am not a data scientist, and I don't have a degree in a field related to data science or machine learning, so please know that. And I actually don't say that with pride. I say that with utmost respect for people in data science and in the field of machine learning. I say that because when I first started leveraging machine learning in CRM, it was intimidating. And it wasn't accessible, I didn't feel like. I didn't feel like it was so accessible for me to grasp what machine learning was or why it was so important for me to know what it was. And so today, if you are maybe not familiar with machine learning, I hope I can give you an accessible explanation. And maybe for those of you who have a better grasp on machine learning, I hope that I can provide an explanation that will help you provide accessible explanations to those around you who maybe don't have the best grasp on it. So what is machine learning? And again, this is the accessible version, quick and easy. Machine learning is a type of AI. It's a type of AI, it's a subset of AI. So if you hear machine learning interchange with AI, it's not wrong because it's a type of AI. But specifically, machine learning is taking a machine, a computer, and then it brings in old events to predict new events. And it does that without being programmed by rules. There are no rules involved. So again, I have a computer that takes old events, learns on it, ingests the data to predict new events. I understand that this does not accurately represent what is going on in the learning. Again, this is the accessible version. And so why would we have a setup like that? Why would humans create something like that? We are imitating. Machine learning is imitating the way our neural networks work, the way neural pathways are made. Deep learning is imitating the way we as humans process information. How we process information, we take everything that we see, we touch, we hear, we feel, we taste, that we read, everything around us, we absorb all of our surroundings, we process that information without rules in order for us to problem solve, in order for us to make intelligent decisions, intelligent interpretations, and you guessed it, predictions. Let's take an example. I just purchased a blue car. It's the first car I've ever purchased, so I had to do this as the example because my knowledge base on cars has improved drastically and I want to show it off. I want this example because the problem that we're trying to solve for is what are these three images? for cars. How do I know that? Because I learned it. We've all learned that over time. But that shouldn't get lost on us because it takes a lot of information and a lot of data for us to digest in order for us to problem solve that these 3 images are 3 different cars. Because I've done a little bit more research into cars lately, I can now say that I know the manufacturers of these cars, and if you'd like to test me on that, you can come find me at the Tinyclues booth, and I can tell you. But some of us in this room actually have downloaded so much data, we've ingested so much data on cars that you could tell me not only the manufacturer, the make of the car, but you could tell me the model, the year, probably the color of those cars, the type of tires, the headlights, the interior, a lot of information. And you don't do that because you have rules, you do that because you've ingested a lot of information and you're able to problem solve, you're able to make interpretations. And none of that is based on rules. And so machine learning, just like we're problem solving for what these images are, machine learning is problem solving without rules for us to make a prediction. And so this is why we think machine learning should be considered. And this is how Sally Beauty solved that paradox I'm talking about, where we have vast amounts of data that we can't use, not because we don't want to, not because we don't think we need to, but because we need help in order to do it. And so now I'm going to invite, virtually, onto stage, Gabriel.
Hello, and thank you, Ashley. I'm sorry I can't be there in person today, but it's very exciting to be here to share our story with Tinyclues. At Sally Beauty, we have a lot of data, a ton of data. Just like Ashley mentioned, we're able to connect a lot of information on our customers. And just like everyone in this room, we want to make sure that all of the information our customers share with us is leveraged to the best of its ability and not just sitting around in an unused data warehouse. The obvious conflict is, how do we leverage all of this data to produce actionable insights without overwhelming my team's workload? How do we keep it manageable? We knew we needed support and wanted to test our hypothesis of machine learning and how it would help us make better use of our customer data. Our objectives with Tinyclues were straightforward. We wanted to improve engagement through email by sending more relevant messaging, driving increased traffic to both stores and our website. We were already creating targeted campaigns sent to specific groups of customers. These customers were created using data points our teams were able to make sense of. Segments were built on demand, but it still meant that our teams were coming up with a list of parameters in order to build the queries for each of these segments. On top of that, we have a lot of content to share. Imagine coming up with the right parameters to build segments for 10,000 different product SKUs. And when you have that much content to share, how do you make sure you get the right message in the right inbox without fatiguing your customer? Or that business priorities are met, like new product launches are supported at the right time. It's not that our teams were not capable of doing these things, but the process wasn't scalable. So in 2019, we partnered with Tinyclues to test our hunch that machine learning might be able to make sense of all of this customer data in order to deliver a more relevant email experience for our customers. So today, this is how our targeted campaign works. The model looks at customers who have purchased nail polish recently and creates a profile for a current nail polish customer. It then matches that profile to the entire customer database, determining who in the database matches the current profile. By matching customers to the profile, Tinyclues is finding customers who are likely to purchase right now. Unlike the query, the tool does not take past buyers and then puts them into the segment. It looks at past buyers and learns from them in order to determine which customers will most likely be ready to purchase in the immediate future. This can be done for any topic or product in our catalog. And because the tool is ranking customers based on their likelihood to purchase, it is then able to also determine what topic or product would be most relevant for a customer at any given time. So if we have multiple products to sell, it can determine which product or topic is more relevant to what customer. As a result, we're delivering more relevant topics to our customers, we're managing campaign pressure to reduce fatigue for our customers, and we are identifying untapped opportunities within our product catalog, and the results are showing in the numbers. We're driving an improved experience, and after robust testing, we found that AI-driven targeting has driven higher engagement and conversion metrics than our own internal targeting approach by a significant amount. Our CRM targeting strategy has been very successful, and we're continuing to scale as much as possible through email and looking at additional channels with that, all thanks to machine learning. We are building intelligent customer segments on the fly that are fully adapted to our campaign plan. We're able to prevent high customer overlaps, thus preventing fatigue, and making sure our customers receive the content that is important to them. And we are easily able to address our business priorities. None of this required teams of data scientists at Sally. It didn't require any extra data. It didn't require a perfectly clean data. It didn't require content overhaul or complete strategy revamp. All Tinyclues required was for us to have a great series of products and deals to share with our customers. And with the data we have on our customers, we were able to deliver a more relevant experience and improve our relationship with them. Thank you very much for joining us today. We have just one question left. What are you doing to make the most of your customer data? And we would love to hear your answers. I'd love to connect through LinkedIn. And Ashley, I'll hand it to you so folks can connect at CRMC.
Yes, Gabriel's right. You can join me at the Tinyclues booth over there through those doors, or you can chat with me directly after our Q&A session right now. So,
thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, so that's all we have for you today. And again, we'd love to hear how you are making the most of your customer data. If you'd like to share with us either here or at our booth, we'd love to hear your answers. And if you want to scan the QR code to connect with Gabriel via LinkedIn, and you can send him your comments, questions directly. He is anxiously awaiting them.
Let's give a round of applause to Ashley. We appreciate it. So Ashley had a choice. Ashley could have canceled, which we've had some speakers cancel over the years because they couldn't make it, and we are so grateful that you all took the time to create that video. We don't have any questions that have been submitted. We'll get us back on track. You're going to be here all week at the Tinyclues booth, so we'd ask you to go chat with her if you have any questions. But thanks for the extra effort. It's nice to be able to have Sally Beauty represented. And please, we'll leave these up for a minute. So if you do want to scan or connect with Ashley or Gabriel on LinkedIn, we can do that. So please, one more round of applause.